I guess the overarching question a lot of frequent flyers have today is, does Singapore Airlines provide its customers with the same experience today as they did many moons ago? Now, the answer to this question doesn't necessarily lie with Singapore Airlines itself, but rather your perception of what the airline actually is. This is actually one of the most trusted airlines operating to Australia, and there's a reason for that. But can Singapore Airlines deliver the same customer service that they once did?
Okay, God bless you.
Okay, yes they can. Well, at least for the most part. It isn't all sunny, but we'll talk about that. This week, we'll take a look at flying the Singapore Airlines A380 and what it's like. Is this product still as competitive as what it used to be? Now, while European airlines have a very matter-of-fact service standard,
Go ahead, eat it. I dare you.
airlines in this part of the world are stepping up their game, and they're really changing the way that we fly. So can Singapore Airlines actually keep up? Join me from Sydney direct to Singapore on the Airbus A380-800. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel where I talk about planes and airlines. I'm a Tasmanian aviation enthusiast who travels on a minimum wage. If you'd like to know more about airlines or how I travel so frequently during the year, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell button icon so you'll never miss another video. Remember that tangent that I went on some time ago in a Cathay Pacific video about how Melbourne Airport was losing its impression on me? Today we're going to be flying out of Sydney instead. No, but is it already for getting a fragile seat for my bag?
Mela, can I get fragile? I don't have sick. I don't like that.
So 21 on my way in.
It's just the F21, right?
Yes, yeah, the one I did online.
How long are you staying there?
Less than a month.
Can I have a look at it actually?
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, Australian, they don't need visa in here. They can get on the Bible.
Thank you very
61 boarding at 10 o'clock, that's your backside.
Thank you very much. Sydney Airport, or Kingsford Smith if you're feeling formal, began life in 1920 as a humble paddock in Mascot where planes landed alongside cows. It's named after Aussie aviation legend Sir Charles Kingsford Smith, who once flew across oceans in a plane held together by his own bravery and probably duct tape.
Near-death experience.
Now, by the 1970s, Sydney was ready for international glamour, opening a shiny terminal for jumbo jets and jet-lagged tourists. The controversial third runway arrived in the 90s, great for planes, but not for anyone trying to sleep in nearby suburbs. Now a buzzing global hub, Sydney Airport saw over 40 million passengers a year pre-COVID, but with demand soaring and space running low, a sibling airport is being built out west, set to open in 2026. However, from a cow paddock to an aviation powerhouse, Sydney Airport has come a long way, and it's still flying high. Singapore Airlines commenced its very first operation here on April 5th, 1967. Now, its commitment to Sydney has been arguably more than any of its other Australian routes. Why is this the case? Well, they serve Sydney frequently enough and have a passenger volume that far exceeds any other Australian route, even though they have the same frequency of flights in neighbouring Melbourne. But more importantly, on a more prestigious level, the world's first commercial A380 flight was operated by Singapore Airlines to Sydney. If you're flying economy light, there's probably a couple of things you should keep in mind. First and most importantly is that you're not eligible to pay for an upgrade. I don't know why this is the case, like if I wanted to pay you more money, why would you not want to accept it? And the second one is that your luggage allowance is 7 kilos for hand carry-on, combined total of your personal item and luggage, while your check-in bag can't exceed 25 kilos. Now, right before we boarded, they made an announcement saying that everyone's bags were going to be weighed, and you already know that I had stuffed this thing to its brim, so I panicked for a little bit and then I saw their staff do absolutely nothing. No bags being weighed today, but they definitely triggered my anxiety. Boarding was well organized, but I was overwhelmed with the sheer volume of passengers boarding the flight, so I just hung around the back of the line until they said we absolutely had to be on board. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't actually that bad. It's just that gate 61 at Sydney is just such a long walk to the plane that I didn't want to be stuck standing there with a 4K camcorder recording absolutely nothing.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, but very well. How are you?
Thank you, so enjoy your lunch.
Oh, Okay, God bless you. Hi, Dorby.
This is Singapore to Ahmedabad. You give me the wrong one. That's why they don't see.
Okay, that boarding process took way longer than it needed to be, and of course someone was already in my seat.
Why are you here?
All well and good though, these things happen. Now this is technically Type 3 of the SQ A380 variant. Economy class sits 343 passengers laid out in a mostly 343 configuration unless you're in very specific rows. 71A is the seat I had pre-selected today, coming in at a whopping 121 Australian. Almost the cost of one night's accommodation in the heart of Sydney. But it's a small price to pay for some comfort if that's what you're after. Economy class seats feature recline, adjustable headrests, a seat pitch of 32 inches and a width of 19 inches. You also get personalized TVs, in-seat power and a Wi-Fi connection that didn't quite work on today's flight. And of course the extra legroom that is unique to this seat. Now since it's technically not the exit row seat, you don't even need to be willing and able to assist for emergencies. So is this the best but most expensive seat in economy?
Yes, every single detail of what you just said.
Singapore Airlines and Alco Board like to welcome you aboard the flight 232 from Sydney back to Singapore. Working with me today, we are senior first officer William, and cabin we have flight manager Sandra and our team of cabin crew who will be looking after you today. Flight time to Singapore is 8 hours, and the weather is generally quite good. Just be there.
Singapore Airlines,
One thing that really puts Singapore Airlines ahead of its competitors is not just the extensive food menu, but particularly the extensive beverage menus on these flights. You can get beers, wines, a selection of spirits, and even an endless flow of cocktails. Now the service starts off with a classic hot towel service, followed by some peas and crackers and a special drink run. Now if you fly regionally, SQ often combines the meal and drink run to save time, but since they have all the time in the world on these flights, they can really stagger the meal service to some level. It's not super uncommon to see a lot of special meals being run out first, something that the crew absolutely hate doing. Dietary preferences with a lot of East and South Asian passengers coupled with varying levels of food allergies on Australian flights can hold up the main service. You can access the comprehensive menu through your phone, and the Wi-Fi did actually work for the first half of the flight, so I had no issues there. Now by 12 noon, this was definitely a brunch service, as the cabin crew said while they rolled the cart down the aisle, even though the menu explicitly refers to this as a lunch service. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of the couscous and pumpkin salad with tzatziki. However, the black pepper chicken with mixed vegetables and steamed rice was a prize winner. You could genuinely taste the flavor of the heavily peppered gravy, but there wasn't an overpowering spice kick that left a good balance between spice to taste. My name is not Matt Preston, and the only thing I know about food is that I love eating it, but honestly, this meal was top-notch stuff. As for the ice cream, it was definitely hard to eat, like not in a bad way, it was tasty enough, but airlines tend to store them in below average temperatures to keep them frozen for extended periods of time, so your best bet is to let it thaw. I can't really control myself around desserts, so I just ate it and got brain freeze, but bro, it was so worth it. The Singapore Airlines story began in 1947 when its predecessor Malayan Airways Limited launched its first flight between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur using a twin-engine airspeed console. After a short-lived joint venture with Malaysia Singapore Airlines, or MSA, the airline split in 1972, giving birth to Singapore Airlines as we know it. One of the earliest examples of SIA's trailblazing vision came in the 1970s when it became one of the first airlines to offer free headsets, hot towels, and a choice of in-flight meals in economy class, luxuries that were simply unheard of at the time. The airline was also the first to fly a Boeing 747-400 across the Pacific Ocean in 1989, demonstrating its technical ambition. They kept achieving milestone after milestone, and eventually the airline realized its loyalty appeal, setting up the KrisFlyer program in 1999 and joining the Star Alliance in 2000, dramatically expanding its global network. And all of this actually happened before SIA became the first to fly the Airbus A380 in 2007, proving that long before private suites and Book the Cook, Singapore Airlines had already established itself as a global aviation pioneer. Singapore Airlines service is often crafted as a result of crew having gone through the most rigorous training standards in the industry. The airline regulates every aspect of the service, every response, the way they walk, the posture that they need to maintain, how they carry themselves, and even how they style their hair. And sometimes even more personal things like their weight is scrutinized to some extent.
Yes, because I think that would be the expectation of your customer.
What if they don't?
Then they need to lose the weight.
Now, at times, I have found that this can cause the crew to have a personality that's been completely rewritten by the airline and prevents them from being themselves. The service is highly efficient but might not necessarily be the most personalized. Not the case today though. Every single one of these crew members had a charm and personality about them, smiling, and didn't have that rigid and robotic nature about them. This was a breath of fresh air because seeing them be themselves really made them cultivate meaningful conversations with people, often exchanging stories and having chats with passengers. Although I've hardly taken issue with SQ's in-flight service, today's flight was truly exceptional. As far as in-flight provisions go, we need to think primarily about the amenities and the in-flight entertainment system. I found that the lavatories were well stocked and cleaned, having your basic stuff like hand wash, hand lotion, and sanitizer. The KrisWorld entertainment system is another excellent offering because of the movies and TV shows that they offer alongside a timely flight map. Even though it wasn't interactive, or I was just too stupid to figure out how to make it interactive, I thought it was a good product offering. As far as Wi-Fi goes, I was able to text Eloise every now and then, but according to the stewardess, the A380 recently changed their network provider. The connection was on more than one occasion just not reliable, and I heard a couple of other passengers complain about this as well. But in theory, the idea of free Wi-Fi to every customer is a fantastic concept. Now, about 2 hours before arrival, we were given the choice between a sweet potato and carrot toasted sandwich and a sweet chili chicken with cheese on panini sandwich. I had the latter and it was absolutely delicious, so I can confidently say no issues with catering. That being said, the provision of these refreshments is Singapore Airlines' way of saying your flight is kinda long but not long enough to warrant 2 complete meal services.
200 miles away from Singapore at our cruising level of 40,000 feet. In approximately 10 minutes time, we shall be commencing our descent. I hope you have enjoyed your flight with us so far. Weather conditions reported in Singapore this afternoon is going to be hot, temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, with some light showers of rain and partly cloudy skies. At the moment, we're just running a little behind schedule. This is due to the strong headwinds en route. And at the moment, the estimated landing time is at 5:35. About 40 minutes from now. The good news is after landing, you can expect a short taxi to our assigned parking stand, and if all goes well, we should be able to have you disembark the aircraft before 5:45. And the time zone in Singapore is 2 hours behind Sydney. Local time now is 4:57 on a Tuesday evening, the 29th of April. On behalf of the captain and all the crew on board, thank you for choosing Singapore Airlines. As always, it's a pleasure to have you on board, and we are looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Something that we should be asking ourselves is, how is Singapore Airlines perceived? Well, we already know it's one of the most loved brands not just here in Australia but around the world, and as you can see, the reasoning for that is well founded. From the onset, we had a great check-in experience, the agent compliant with requests and verifying travel documents. Then we also had an exceptionally good dining experience, which was only let down by a mediocre entree. Or maybe it was just an acquired taste or something. And finally, even the cabin crew were fantastic. Stick around to the end of the video for a tiny little surprise, and also comment, subscribe and hit the bell button icon for more videos. If you're new here, you can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram and help me grow my network. I still think there's room for improvement, and the Wi-Fi being unreliable was definitely one of them. I also think the Singapore Airlines call centers need some serious investigation because even basic questions are hard for them to answer. That being said, this is the final score for today's flight, with Singapore Airlines doing extremely well today, including a full score for customer service. As we pulled into the gate, the stewardess complied with a request for me to get some economy class footage, but then said business class is so much better. Why don't you check that out? and her colleague escorted me through to the top deck and let me have a look at the cabin. Overall, I think it's experiences like this that differentiate a good way to fly and a great way to fly. And I'm not just saying this because of how I was treated. I heard them talk to passengers about their holidays, give them compliments, and even helped a passenger with a very tight connection by allowing him to disembark with business class. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you in my upcoming videos, and if you stuck around, remember to subscribe and hit that bell button icon. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more pictures and reels of what I get up to. And finally, wherever you're traveling to, have a safe journey.